In his latest book, White Too Long: The Legacy of White Supremacy in American Christianity, Robert P. Jones, founder and CEO of the Public Religious Research Institute, argues that many white Christians are more racist than their secular counterparts and have perpetuated white supremacy in American culture. He says, a close read of history reveals that we white Christians have not just been complacent or complicit, rather, as the nation's dominant cultural power, we have constructed and sustained a project of perpetuating white supremacy that has framed the entire American story. The noise is loud, the feelings are strong, the lines are drawn. No dialogue, only yelling. No compromise, only rhetoric. We are more divided than together, and more opinionated than willing to listen. We value party, heritage over principles, and patriotism over people. At the start of 2020, we began a conversation about diversity and inclusion. It was a long overdue conversation, but we had it. We learned many things from this exercise from our office staff and our pastors that we need to do more and we need to improve upon. But then in March 2020, COVID hit, exposing us to even more disparities within our territory and with our membership. We lost many members to this disease, and there were many more troubling and unanswered questions. Along with COVID-19, we were grappling with balancing a budget to deal with a significant shortfall. But as you know by now, God has shined upon us and blessed us to close that deficit and to even have some gains. To this we say, praise the Lord. But now it is time to turn back to our diversity and inclusion initiatives. Time after time and week after week, we as a nation are faced with multiple instances of social injustice towards people of color, particularly Black men and women. Texas Conference is a very diverse fellowship made up of numerous races and ethnic groups. We also find ourselves grappling with the issue of racism within the church. Therefore, as we move into the fall, we believe now is the time to have a substantive conversation about race within the Texas Conference pastorate. Starting October 26th through November the 4th, we will be having a conversation with all of our pastors on this emerging issue that seems to be repeated not only in our nation, but also within our conference and our churches, and that is the conversation about race. It will not be a monologue. We're not here to mandate what each pastor should do, but we are here to have a conversation on what is the Christ-like approach that leads to actions. We want you to come to the conversation with an open mind, innovative ideas, and a Christ-like character to move the bar from simple, empty statements of condemnation to heartfelt biblical action. This conversation will not fix the decade-old injustices and racial disparities, but it will provide a path forward for Texas Conference. Well, before we meet, you may have questions or concerns or even frustrations that you would like us to answer. If that's the case, please send your questions, concerns to questions@txsda.org. And in the subject line, simply put, you matter. So talking about just your opinions is not the only thing that matters, but you matter.